So the other day, I played a speech from Spencer Pratt. Yes, the guy who was running for mayor of LA, and unfortunately was, I believe, cheated out of that spot. And that speech was absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. It was absolutely amazing. So amazing that some of you were like, "Yo, he's got to get into politics." Like he's got to stay into politics, or so something along those lines from several of you in the comments. And I agree. This seems like a guy with a lot of common sense. He seems like someone who's not going to pull any punches, and he seems like somebody who's serious about their business. Okay? We might disagree from time to time on something, but at the end of the day, he seems like somebody who wants to see, America at its best. And that's all I care about, right? Well, that same guy just delivered another bombshell of a speech. So with that being said, I am going to shut up now and allow this brother to take it away. Now, this speech is about 10 minutes long, but I assure you, you're not going to want to miss it. So with that being said, smack that like button, and let's jump into it.
In judicial ethics, the mere appearance of potential fraud is disqualifying. Same goes here. Whether or not there is widespread fraud occurring, there certainly could be, and it doesn't matter how many times you scream, "There's no widespread fraud." A lot of people believe there is, and there's no way to actually validate it. This isn't just about whether or not fraud is swinging the election. The appearance of fraud already is swinging the election. People rightly have zero faith in this janky, inefficient system. They feel like their vote isn't being counted. They feel like illegal ballots are being cast, and they're not wrong to worry about it. There's literally no safeguards in place to prevent that from happening, and way too many openings for it to occur on a massive scale. You all saw how I was neck and neck with Karen Basura on election night, nearly double digits ahead of Nithya, just as the polling predicted.
Rahman fighting tears on election night, trailing Spencer Pratt by roughly 40,000 votes and about 10 percentage points.
I dominated the in-person vote. I smashed Nithya on the mail-in ballots too. She was crying on election night. It was over. Then a few days later, suddenly Nithya started overperforming as they continued to accept ballots 7 days after the election.
But days of counting mail-in ballots have changed the map.
I'm so grateful.
Rahman has now erased a 40,000 vote deficit and moved ahead of Pratt by roughly 3,000 votes, a net swing of more than 43,000 votes.
43,000 votes, which just happens to be the exact number of homeless people on the streets in LA. They assured everyone that this is normal because for some reason that they can't explain, Democrats overwhelmingly vote by mail.
There's a historical phenomenon in national voting called the Red Mirage.
The Red Mirage.
What we were calling a Red Mirage.
The Red Mirage.
Red Mirage. Yeah. This term was coined because about some swing states count votes, usually favoring Republicans early. Then it becomes an advantage for Democrats later in the evening and then into the next morning.
You expect to see the Republican with a lead, but it's not really a lead.
Democrats vote in higher numbers by a mail-in ballot. Historically, Democrats vote in higher numbers by mail-in ballots.
But not all Democrats, just the ones who were voting for the third place candidate, the one candidate who really needed the votes. Don't forget, there were 2 Democrats in the race, but for some reason, only the third place Democrat who needed the votes saw a disproportionate spike in votes several days after the election. Plus, multiple studies have shown that mail voting doesn't provide an advantage to either party. It's a myth. The media will say that claims of fraud here are without evidence. Keep in mind, an anomalous statistical spike like this is evidence of fraud. Ask any forensic accountant. It may not be necessarily proof of fraud, but it is certainly evidence of fraud. But forget the late ballots. Just because the vote swing coincidentally matched the specific LASA count of homeless people on the streets, just because NGOs that Nithya cuts checks to were hoarding ballots, just because hundreds of thousands of dead people and ex-presidents who've left California were still on the voter rolls, doesn't mean anyone is taking those loose ballots and filling them out. First off, it's against the law. And we all know if it's against the law, it doesn't happen. Secondly, we have signature verification. Everyone has to sign their ballot, and a computer checks your signature. Well, except some voters can't sign, so they carved out a rule where you can just make a mark on the ballot, and a witness can sign on your behalf. It can be an X or a scribble or even a happy face, as long as a witness signs off on it. And don't forget, once they separate the ballot from the envelope, there's zero way to trace it back to the ballot to check if a sudden tranche of votes that swung predominantly to one candidate had come from a bunch of ballots with the happy faces in the signature box. The DSA instructs their ballot harvesters to go door to door and tell them to vote for Nithya Raman and even help them fill in the bubble for their preferred socialist candidates. This is explicitly illegal. A ballot harvester can't tell you how to vote, and they certainly can't help you fill out the ballot. But laws don't matter if you have no mechanism in place to prevent the crime from occurring in the first place. There is this misnomer being parroted even by staunch critics of California's rigged voting system, saying there's nothing you can do because this is all legal in California. It's not legal. Even by California's own ridiculous laws, all this stuff is still illegal. They've simply removed all the mechanisms to catch the fraud and prevent it from happening. It's like a bank heist, but California has made a law that you can't lock the bank vault. You're not allowed to have security cameras, and you can't count the money inside the vault. Robbing the bank is still 100% illegal, but there's no way to stop it from happening. Now here's the smoky backroom dealing. 5 days before my election, Gavin Newsom signed a ridiculous law that literally banned federal and independent authorities from investigating vote fraud or overseeing elections to monitor for fraud during the counting process.
That's why I'm moving forward with new legislation that would make it a felony to seize ballots before the vote has been certified by state and county officials. We will be the wall he cannot get past.
That's like banning the bank from having security cameras. Now, the timing of this was deliberate. He knows this won't hold up in court, but he did it so close to the election day, he knew the courts wouldn't be able to overturn it in time for the election. It's truly like going up against the casino. The deck is so stacked against you, you never really stand a chance. You can play if you choose, but the house will never lose. So now, in California, you can loot $950 of merchandise. You can knowingly infect someone with HIV, but if you try to prevent vote fraud,
you will be prosecuted.
How can you secure the money if you can't lock the vault? How can you catch the robbers if you're not allowed to monitor the vault? And how can you even identify if the vault were even robbed in the first place if you can't even count the money? This is what California has done with elections. Unsolicited ballots going into open mailboxes and NGOs and parking lots. Bank vault is wide open. No signature required, no ID required, no way to ID the robbers. And the beauty of their rigged system is they can have all the pageantry of this public ballot counting center. Hey, come on down. It's open to the public. Anyone can come watch so you can see just how kosher our system is.
We are inside LA County's massive ballot processing center. When Assistant United States Attorney arrived on scene to observe the process and ask questions.
All the fraud that does occur happens long before the ballots even hit this building. People have been pushing me to demand a recount. Why? You could recount these anonymous ballots 100 times. You'll get the same exact result. I have no doubt that they are doing a flawless job of accurately counting every single ballot in here with robotic precision. The fraud isn't here. It's here on Skid Row, where homeless people are paid a couple bucks for their ballots.
They give you $2 to vote?
Yeah, we do the street. We show something.
Did they come down here and try and pay you to vote?
Yes.
They told you who to vote for?
Yes. Since I'm voting your way, can I get a plate? You know what I mean?
It's here where socialist street animals go door to door and violate the ballot harvesting laws. People bring up the old communist adage often attributed to Stalin saying, it's not who votes that counts, it's who counts the votes. No, this is the modern era of fraud. They've gotten wise. The modern communist agrees with the old communist, but just the first part. It doesn't matter who votes. It doesn't matter if it's a drug zombie being paid for their ballot. It doesn't matter if it's a DSA socialist street animal filling out your ballot. It doesn't matter if it's a blue-haired intern at a Nithya Raman-funded NGO filling out the ballots. The bank vault is wide open. The cameras have been removed, and there's no way to count the money. Now, for those of you who wanted me to fight the election, for those of you who thought I was quitting or I was bought off to step aside and quietly disappear, I'll remind you, there's a smart way to handle these things and a dumb way. Evidence is not proof. I don't say things without proof. Now, anyone saying that there's no evidence of fraud is lying. There's tons of evidence, and I was the one who got it. All those videos that you saw of homeless people admitting that they were paid for their vote, where do you think they came from? Immediately after the big spike of votes came in for Nithya, I sent my team down to Skid Row to collect evidence. We were warned by some very well-connected people that this was happening, so we acted on it immediately. But if you want to end this fraud, doing protests and bitching about stolen elections won't get you anything. You need the fraudsters to start catching charges. For that to happen, you need proof. That's what investigators do. They turn evidence into proof with a robust investigation. You think it's a coincidence that 20 FBI agents suddenly descended on Skid Row to investigate vote fraud? Why do you think they were there? You don't get evidence by going to rallies or storming the ballot processing center. You get evidence by doing real work. And the first rule of criminal investigation is you do not talk about it. Here's the reality. It's too late for my campaign. A lot of people refuse to accept that, but I can. I told you all to get your ass out and vote. Tell your friends to vote. Vote enough to beat the cheat. We didn't beat it, but that doesn't mean I quit. I don't know how to quit.
He never knew when to quit.
My goal isn't to try and salvage the campaign, just like my advocacy in the wake of the Palisades fire wasn't about my own home. It's too late for me. This is about you. This is about the next one. It's about exposing this corrupt, rigged system and changing it for the next election. If I have to be the kamikaze pilot to finally get this fixed, so be it. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. The right way isn't easy, but it ends with commie animals and handcuffs. I will restore faith in our elections if it's the last thing I do. And to all you fraudsters out there, we've been watching you, and justice is coming.
Oh, Spencer Pratt, you just opened up the can of worms. But I've been saying this exact same thing. Some of you, I mean, you can literally go back to my videos when it first was announced that, you know, the government was going down to California and going into their election center and checking in on the process. I'm like, you're not going to find anything. You're not going to. If these people are as smart as what I think, you're not going to find a single thing. I mean, it's just common sense. You got to think these people have had years upon years upon years to perfect this craft. Do you think they're going to make it that easy? You think they're going to make it as easy as just walking into an election center and you can tell that they're cheating right then and there? Like, no, duh. They've got all of their I's dotted, all of their T's crossed, and everything is in a line. So when you go into that election center and you watch them count the ballots, everything is going to look 100% legit. And so I'm so happy that Spencer Pratt pointed that out. Like, yo, you're not going to find it here. You're not. You're looking in the wrong place. You got to go out on that street or to Skid Row. You got to start conducting some investigations there. That's where it's all happening. It ain't happening in here. By the time it gets in here, it all looks legit. There's not a single thing you could do about it once it gets to here. It's already done. And there's no way that you can backtrace it to prove it wrong, right? Because there's no ID involved. So I love the fact that he brought that up. Like, yo, it's not here. And we did end up seeing some DOJ officials on Skid Row conducting some investigations. And so far, that has been silent, which is exactly what Spencer Pratt had talked about in this video clip. One of the first rules to an investigation is you don't talk about it. You don't talk about it. You don't say anything. Conduct your investigation and you keep it quiet until you've got enough evidence to bring the people down. Then you'll say something about it. But until then, keep it on the hush. Keep it on the hush. Man, was that on point or what? Spencer Pratt, hey, listen, he's good. This guy is good. He's darn good. Okay. Now, hopefully we can get something done about this. I'm still a little iffy about something being able to be done because, once again, they have had years to perfect this. Everybody's got their story straight. I's have been dotted, T's have been crossed. Everything is in a line. I'm sure they've probably re-upped on, their communication, making sure everybody's on the same page so nobody's going to say the wrong thing or rat anybody else out. So it's going to be really difficult. I wouldn't expect anything to happen anytime soon. But hopefully something can be done because it's obvious. It's obvious, but also at the same time, like, who is behind this? Like, you can arrest one of these individuals, and one person was arrested and thrown in jail that was out there paying people for the signatures. But that's not the person that's actually calling the shots. Who's really calling the shots? Right? Who's behind the curtain? I don't care about the lady sitting at the corner desk, sitting at the desk on the corner telling people, hey, put this name down, put that name down, I'll give you $2 or I'll give you a cigarette. I don't care about the lady. She's just somebody that's trying to make $1, right? She's not really in on what's going on behind the scenes, but somebody behind the scenes, that's who you need to go for. That's who really needs the prison time. That's who I really want. And so, yeah, that is going to be difficult because if they're as smart as what I think, they've covered their tracks. They haven't had 100% direct communication with, the people that are sitting at the desk. They had a middleman of some sort or some type of, weird type of communication where it's not face-to-face, if they're smart. And we shall see. We shall see. But y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. If you watched to this point, man, I told you. If I tell you it's going to be good, it's going to be good. I'm not going to lie to you, right? I'm not going to lie to you. That was amazing, wasn't it? And on point. So, hey, get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. As always, stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.